Hello, I'm Alex Lafkis, and I recently spoke about fishing roughly the first 4 or 5 months of the year for streamer fishing in the upper Midwest, whatever, trout fishing. Now I want to talk to you more about the back half of the year. Um, it's my favorite time of year to streamer fish, typically. And the time of year I'm talking about is, I'm sitting here, it's 4th of July, and I've been motorboating for a month. All of a sudden, we're sitting now, and it's about August 10th. Days are starting to get a little shorter, and you get your first spit of cold nights. I'll typically classify those. Your first night's in the low to mid 40s. You'll see your water temps start to come off their high temps for the year. Say it's 72, 73 in a lot of the water I fish. So at that point on the free-flowing rivers, this is not the tailwaters. That's a little different deal. But on the free-flowing rivers, you'll start to see water temps tick from 72, 73 down to 64, 65, and you see that start, the decrease in water temperature, that's your sign to start going fishing. It's typically very low water time of year. A lot of 1-inch type flies. This is a back half of a broken fly, but that type of size. I fish those a lot in the summer, low clear water, that's going to be the deal. So that usually starts about mid-August. A couple ways to look for it too is just watch overnight lows, watch the graphs on USGS website, and it'll show you as those water temps kind of start to tick down. Keep an eye on it. The second it does, you can go fishing, sun, whatever, it doesn't matter. Typically I have, weather conditions are kind of, I don't really care if it's sunny, cloudy, whatever. You tend to catch some fish. If it's beaming sun, you're done by 10:30, 11 in the morning. Once that sun gets high and you can see every pebble on the bottom of the river, typically about time to go. But you can have some very good fishing mornings, evenings, and even throughout the whole day. I tend to find a pretty good bite around the full moon in August. If it happens to come mid to late August, early September, whatever it happens to be, that can be a very good bite. And I'll target that. I fish muskies more now, so I'm kind of out doing that typically. But if I'm going to focus on streamer fishing, or I have people who want to focus on streamer fishing, I'll try to steer them towards that full moon time, late August or early September. Typically, once again, low clear water, so it's smaller flies. I like sink tips that don't impact and hit the water really hard. I use some lighter sink tips that time of year because typically you're low clear water. The other thing I notice is it's a volume time of year. I don't necessarily catch as many fish over 20 inches, but I can catch a lot of fish that time of year. It's my favorite time of year to teach people to streamer fish because of the amount of activity you can have. People can learn how to adjust their retrieves, work different water. Then when they come in later in the fall, as water temps get colder, they're going to have a better chance to succeed. It's all about repetition, shots, 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 and getting better with each chance. So, now we're kind of getting into, say we progress through that water temperature, mid-60s, all of a sudden we're starting to get down to where the water temps are, even lower, 62, 58. That's when I start seeing some bigger fish bite. Usually it comes about mid-September, mid to the end of September, and you'll start seeing those water temps start getting into the lower mid-50s, stuff like that. That is big time window. And it doesn't matter if you're muskie fishing, if you're bass fishing, or if you're trout fishing. In this upper Midwest, big fish get caught in about a 2 to 3 week span a lot of times. It's about the third week to last week of September and about the middle of October. And what it is typically those are the last few weeks before brown trout start to spawn. The other fish put on their feed bag because they're going into winter. But the big browns will eat heavy because it's the last chance. And those are the big ones that are out. They're not easy to catch. They feed in it seems like shorter windows. They want a bigger meal. So that's really the time to focus on. If you get a moon phase in there, new or full, focus around then. And look for, it's not just that it's a new or a full moon. It's the best weather pattern or weather day around that moon phase is usually the day you see it really go on. It's really important in the way I fish. I see a lot of occurrences on moon phases. People overlook it, neglect it, don't think about it. Biggest mistake you can make. They are critical when you're talking big fish. So then we're kind of fishing, and now this is all good. It's usually lower, clear water, good fishing still. Some people will struggle in the fall. It's because water's low and clear, and you have to know how to fish deep water and adjacent shoulders to where they're gonna spawn. You know, fish start shuffling. They're moving out of sand and wood, moving to an area where they will eventually spawn. That takes us down to about water temp around 48 degrees, and that's where I throw in the towel. I do not like fishing that 48 till water temps get below 40. That's spawning time. That's kind of junk to me. I think that the fish want to spawn. That's their first priority. If you just let them do that, get it through, you don't even see a very good streamer bite. I fished this stuff for years, and I always tried, and it tends to be, I see the worst fishing of the fall kind of fall from about October 20th, 18th through even the beginning of November. It's not very good. And that's the spawn time. Let them lay. If you want to throw eggs and all that garbage, I mean, that's what people do to catch them during the spawn. You can occasionally get one to eat a streamer, but whatever. I usually let them rest. I like to come back fishing once water temps have gotten below 40. You see really a lot of spawning 48, and then it kind of dies off a little, and at 42 you'll see another batch of fish start spawning. And then once you start getting into 38, 37, 36, 35, you know, and that water temp starts really falling, usually it occurs right after our first major cold front in Michigan. It happens a lot early November. And that's when those fish start getting, they're done spawning, they're starting to get jammed into the deep water where they're going to spend most of the year. And they're going to feed heavy. Typically what I see is it's very good post-spawn fishing in that cold water where fish will bite anything. Really until the first rain event of the late fall. It starts kind of dying off at that point in time. And it's just the fish are they're eating now. It's not as aggressive. You can still catch fish. It's a phenomenal time to go. But it seems like the longer it stays cold and clear, the better your fishing is. And that's just no food. Fish get starved. They gotta eat. They make mistakes. When these fish are in, the fish you're looking for, when they are in prime condition and full and fed, you're gonna have a really hard time catching them. You want to shoot for windows where nature tells them if they don't feed, they're going to die. Those windows occur long periods of no food, low clear water before a major cold front where things lock up. The first few days of a cold front, the really cold days. Fall activity and feeding is dependent upon falling water temperatures. Spring, it's about southwest winds and warming water temperatures. In the fall, you want water temperatures going down to push those fish into a state of emergency where they need to feed. Big flies in the late fall. And when you start talking post-spawn and you see that water temp get below 42 degrees, you're not going to move volumes of fish. This is not a time of year you catch a lot of fish, but you should be able to catch big fish. They're not going to weigh like pre-spawn fish. Those are the biggest ones of the year. That's why they're harder to catch too. They're full. They know they have to spawn. It's what nature's intended them to do. They have lived the entire year just to spawn one more time. Now, when they get off the backside of that, now they're a little more reckless. They have to spawn. They have to feed, pardon me, so that they can make it to potentially the next spawn. Some will, some won't. But they do all feed to get to there. You know, like I said before, shoot me any other questions you might have. This should break it down. This is a great time of year to streamer fish. I love it. You know, people start going to the rivers looking for steelhead, salmon, whatever it is. They leave the trout streams. There's some beautiful sections of river that fish really good in the fall, late summer with no one around. So any other questions, you know, DM, drop them in the comments, whatever. We'll get back to you. Thanks a lot, guys.